I want to take us now to Charlotte Potts, my colleague. She is at the headquarters for the AfD. And Charlotte, if any party has a reason to celebrate tonight, it would be the AfD based on these exit poll numbers.
Oh, and they are. The AfD is getting the party started here. They are making that clear. We've seen a lot of happy faces of members of the AfD. They are celebrating this result as a success for two reasons. Not only that their own numbers are so high, but they are also celebrating the fact that they think that they attributed to themselves that they have fractured the German political landscape, that the numbers of the conservatives are so low. They are attributing that to their strong anti-Merkel campaign and their strong campaign against Angela Merkel's refugee policy. Just a few seconds ago, when the results were announced, the members were chanting AfD, AfD, and the leading candidate, Alexander Gauland, took the stage here. He said slogans like "We are taking Germany back now." He was saying that they will pose a very tough opposition no matter what the government will look like. They are planning on being an incredibly tough opposition. He made that clear. And he also said that they will fight on. So it's going to be interesting times in the German parliament.
Charlotte, if I could, we've got a soundbite now from the chairman of the AfD, Mr. Gauland. Let's take a listen. Oh, we don't. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Let me ask my producer where we're going right now. Okay, Charlotte, excuse me there. I thought we had a soundbite from the AfD. We don't. So where do they go from here? Are they betting on being the leaders in the opposition?
That is at least their hope, that the SPD and the Conservatives, the Social Democrats and Merkel's Christian Democrats will head into another grand coalition, and that thereby, as the third strongest party, they could lead the opposition in parliament, which comes with a lot of privileges, like opening the debate on the budget, for example. They've already said, or the leading candidate, Alexander Gauland, just said in his quick speech that he gave a few minutes ago that they are going to try to push the political debate towards the right, that they are going to hold the established parties in the German parliament accountable, especially on their policies towards refugees and migrants, and that they are going to, from the slogan, take Germany back. That is what he said in his speech. We're expecting a few more speeches in the minutes to come, and the AfD to outline their plans for their time in the opposition.
Charlotte, we do now have that soundbite from Mr. Gauland, the chairman of the AfD, and he was talking about people who call his party and members of his party Nazis. Take a listen.
I'd say they apparently don't know what Nazis are. As a child, I witnessed how my parents were afraid because my father was a friend of officers behind the attempt to assassinate Hitler on July 20th, 1944. I witnessed it all as a child. And when you think of Nazis, it's concentration camps, the Holocaust, secret police, the Gestapo, serious crimes. It's ridiculous to equate a democratic party that just wants different policies with Nazis.
So, Charlotte, we heard Mr. Gauland speaking there, but this is the same gentleman who last week said that Germans should stop feeling guilty for what their soldiers did in the Second World War and start being proud. So what is this? This is double speak that we're getting from the leader of this party.
Absolutely, and that is one of the strategies of the right-wing populists. We've heard that numerous times in the past. So basically, he was referring to comments, for example, by the German foreign minister, who said that Nazis might be entering the heart of German democracy, the German parliament, which it looks like they are now. So he was referring, Alexander Gauland, the leading candidate of the AfD, was referring to comments such as these. But yes, you're right. He's the one that last week said Germany Germany should not atone for its past anymore, that those times were over, that we should be proud of the accomplishments of the German soldiers in the First and Second World War. Those are absolute no-no topics in Germany. Usually there is, or there has been, a strong consensus in Germany on these issues. So it is a strategy of the AfD, or it has been, to basically provoke with these comments and afterward reject the notion that those slogans that they are saying resound as Nazi slogans. So we've seen that not only with him, but with several other members. For example, another one calling the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin a monument of shame. So this is one of the strategies of the right-wing populists.
Yeah, it's part of that doublespeak that we have seen throughout the campaign. All right, our correspondent Charlotte Potts there at the headquarters with the AfD. Okay, you were just listening there to the victory speech, if you will, from the AfD, the Alternative for Germany, celebrating the fact that it looks like they are going to be the third largest party in the new German parliament. We want to go now to Charlotte Potts. She is our correspondent there at the headquarters with the AfD. Charlotte, I want to ask you, Melinda and I have been listening to what's being said tonight by the AfD, and a lot of it sounds like it's coming from a book that could have been written by Donald Trump. What struck me just now is that we heard the AfD wants to start an official inquiry to, and I'm quoting here, to find out where the German Chancellor Angela Merkel has broken the law. What more do you know about that? That's news to us here.
Yes, that is what everybody have been saying. Let me first mention, yes, it sounds very much like Donald Trump. The main leading candidate, Alexander Gauland, was saying, we want to take our country back, we want to take Germany back. In his victory speech, that is something that is very resounding of US President Donald Trump's campaign. And the parliamentary inquiry, that is something that we've heard from a number of AfD members, including the leading candidates tonight in interviews that we've had with them. They are saying that they want to lead this inquiry against Chancellor Angela Merkel and look into her, character, into her policies regarding the refugee crisis that the AfD has been strongly campaigning against. They've ran on an anti-Merkel, anti-migration platform. So they want to lead this inquiry and look into it in Parliament. In general, an opposition party is able to do that, to lead an inquiry. But the question is if they are going to find other parties that are going to help them out to bring this inquiry into place. And to be honest, it looks right now like the AfD is going to be shunned out by all other parties in Parliament, and it's going to be very unlikely that they are going to find another party that is going to support such an inquiry. So they are pretty much alone there with that idea, and with that it wouldn't be possible to lead this inquiry in Parliament.
And Charlotte, explain to us what it means if the Social Democrats, if they're going to go into the opposition and they would be the largest party in opposition, then what does that mean for the AfD in terms of their ability to affect change and their ability to affect legislation in the German parliament? Are they going to have muscle to go behind the loud voice that they have?
The AfD was definitely hoping that the SPD would form another grand coalition with the Conservatives and that they would be the strongest opposition party. Right now it doesn't look like that. It looks like there might be a coalition such as Jamaica with the Greens and the Liberals, and many members that I've talked to here are quite disappointed. The AfD members are quite disappointed because they would not be, as they were hoping, the strongest opposition party. Being the strongest opposition party brings with it privileges. For example, having the beginning of the budget debate, they can open that in Parliament. They would lose these privileges and only would be the second strongest party. So the members that I've talked to have been quite disappointed about these latest developments that we've seen coming out of this election tonight.
Our correspondent Charlotte Potts there at the headquarters of the AfD, the Alternative for Germany party. Charlotte, thank you very much. I've been told now we're going to go to AfD, the Alternative for Germany headquarters. Charlotte Potts there is going to talk with Alice Weidel of the AfD. Let's go to that right now. Charlotte.
Yes, hi, Brand. I'm here with Alice Weidel. She's one of the leading candidates of the AfD. The interview is going to be in German with the translator. Frau Weidel, Sie haben gesagt, Sie wollen eine konstruktive Opposition sein. Herr Gauland hat gesagt, die Regierung muss sich jetzt warm anziehen. Wie können wir uns Ihre Opposition vorstellen?
Die Aufgabe
Well,
eines
the
Parlaments
mandate of a parliament is scrutiny of the government, of the parliament. The legislative has to scrutinize the executive, and in recent years this has not been done. And this is why we've been elected into the parliament now, because with us it will no longer be possible to avoid this scrutiny. They won't be able to just rubber stamp policy through without having properly debated them in the parliament or without having the parliament called for this kind of scrutiny. And this just doesn't go hand in hand with democracy.
Eine Sache, die ja jetzt Ihre Mitglieder auch Sie selber
Now,
fordern, ist ein
something that you
Untersuchungsausschuss
and
gegen
your
Angela
members have
Merkel.
called
Bevor ich
is
die debattiere,
an
jetzt auch die Mithilfe natürlich von
investigation
anderen Parteien.
committee, an
Wie wollen Sie
inquiry
das
committee
anstellen und was
into
wollen Sie mit
Angela
dem
Merkel. What are you trying to
Untersuchungsausschuss
achieve
erreichen?
with this committee?
Also wir brauchen in der Tat dort Partner.
Well,
Und
we
das
need
ist
to have
natürlich auch der erste
partners who
Test
support
zum
us. That'll be the first
Demokratieverständnis
test to
der
the
anderen
understanding of
Bundestag.
democracy of the other parties
Wir
in the
hoffen,
parliament.
dass wir den einen oder anderen
We
Partner
hope that we will
bekommen,
be
weil
able to
ansonsten
get
wird das auch
partners
wieder
on
Bände
board,
sprechen über das
because otherwise that will speak
Demokratieverständnis
volumes
der anderen
about the
Parteien.
understanding of democracy of the other
Dieser Untersuchungsausschuss
parties,
hat die ganz
and
klare
this inquiry
Aufgabe, sich
committee
mit
will
den
have the clear
Rechtsbrüchen Angela
mandate
Merkel,
of looking
zu
at
beschäftigen.
infringements of the law that Angela Merkel has committed. One example, the refugee policy has no legal basis. It wasn't even discussed in the parliament. You simply can't do that sort of things. That's undermining parliamentarianism, which is why we are where we are.
Sie sprechen über die Flüchtlingspolitik.
Now, you're
Ein,
talking about
ja,
refugee
eine Sache in
policy.
Ihrer Plattform ist,
One
dass
of
Sie
the
die
things on your
das Asylrecht
platform is that
abschaffen
you
wollen.
want to get
Das ist
rid
seit
of the
langem ein
right
Recht in
to
Deutschland.
asylum, which has
Wie
been a
wollen
right
Sie
for
das
so
anstellen?
long for refugees in Germany.
Wir
How
wollen
do
es
you
nicht
want to do that?
abschaffen.
We
Wir
don't
wollen
want to
es
get rid of
novelieren. Und
it.
das
We
ist
want to
im Übrigen auch
amend it,
CDU-Programm im
which is
Jahr
also the program of the
1991
CDU and
gewesen.
was in
Was mit der CDU eigentlich
1991.
passiert ist.
And
Eine
we
komplett
don't really know what
entkernte Partei,
happened. It's a
in der
party that's
Bundesrepublik Deutschland,
just
die eigentlich ihre eigenen
got
Werte
no
verraten
core
hat.
anymore. They've
Also,
betrayed
das ist
their own
wirklich
core
völliger
values.
Wahnsinn.
So it's
Wir
absolute
fordern heute, was
madness.
die CDU
Today
vor
we are
30
calling
Jahren
what the
gefordert
CDU
hat.
called for
Und,
30 years
das
ago.
muss man einfach so machen, weil
And you
ansonsten
have
haben
to
wir
do
die
this,
Situation wie heute,
otherwise you'll
wenn
have the
Sie ein
situation like we have today,
individuelles einklagbares
where
Asylrecht
if you have
haben, dann haben Sie
a
jeden
right to asylum that
einzelnen
is actionable in law, that means that
Asylbewerber, der sich
every
sein Recht
asylum seeker
einklagen
who
kann.
didn't
Verwaltungsgerichte
get
brechen heute schon
approved
zusammen.
can
Wir brauchen
go to
Tausende
court,
von
and our
neuen
courts are
Richtern, die
collapsing. We
überhaupt
need
die Fälle
thousands
abarbeiten
of
können,
new
von nicht asylberechtigten.
judges who have to rule on these cases. Wiesbaden is talking in its court there, is talking about figures that couldn't be done for 7 years. It'll take them 7 years to get through this. The courts are collapsing. And if we continue with this irresponsible policy, there'll be a major change here. And we really want to be an alternative for Germany. We don't want that. We want to go back to the rule of law. Now, in the run-up to these elections, we heard that there's some very right-wing extremists, some radical wings to your party. How will you keep them under control? Well, first of all, we should say that our aim is to assert our electoral program, and our program covers all political fields of action, and what's being debated publicly are things that I can't necessarily always support, but we will see how this parliamentary group works in the parliament, and I'm very confident. Thank you very much, Alice
This was
Weidel,
Alice
for this
Weidel, one of the
interview.
leading candidates of the newcomers in parliament of the AfD. They are urging for a parliamentary inquiry against Angela Merkel and her refugee policies. Back to you, Brent.
All right, Charlotte Potts there at the headquarters of the Alternative for Germany. Charlotte, thank you very much. I want to go now to my colleague, results. We're going to go now to the AfD headquarters here in Berlin. My colleague, Charlotte Potts, is standing by. Good evening to you, Charlotte. We meet again.
Hi, Brent.
So talk to us then a little bit about moving forward. What I'm seeing in the German media right now being written about the AfD is obviously a lot of shock, at the numbers that the AfD received, but also there's being a lot written about the language that this party is using. And, for example, the head of the party, Mr. Gauland, saying that he plans to hunt down the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. Are you getting a sense there of this type of rhetoric, this type of political discourse being accepted as normative behavior?
Absolutely. I think Alexander Gauland, the leading candidate, made that quite clear from the beginning on. He said things like, we are going to hunt down Angela Merkel, talking about a parliamentary inquiry, looking into her refugee policy, investigating her and her policies. He's been using pretty aggressive language tonight, right from the start. On the other hand, the other leading candidate, Alice Weidel, has been trying to present herself more as a, so to say, moderate voice, and it is always with the AfD that Gauland has been using the more radical rhetoric. Weidel is downplaying it. It's kind of a strategy of this party to, in the end, say, look, we are not as radical as the public might be portraying us. We are quite moderate. That is what Alice Weidel told me in an interview before. We are going to basically keep the radical extremist parts in our party in check once we enter the Bundestag. But I think from what we've heard tonight, the rhetoric coming from the stage here, that has been quite aggressive, and I think that the parliament will be seeing a very polarized and very heated debate once it starts and the AfD is taking its place there.
Our colleague Charlotte Potts there at the headquarters of the AfD here in Berlin. Charlotte, thank you very much. We're going to go now to the headquarters. All right, Sumi Simaskanda there in Schwerin. Thank you very much, Sumi. We'd like to take you now back here to Berlin. I'm joined by my colleague Charlotte Potts. She is standing by at the headquarters of the Alternative for Germany, the AfD. And my other colleague is Fanny Fichar. She is standing in Alexanderplatz here in Berlin, where a demonstration has amassed throughout the course of the evening against the AfD. Charlotte, let me just start with you briefly. The notion of the AfD being the major disruptor in the new German parliament, is that being discussed there where you are? And do people see that completely in a positive sense?
Well, I mean, the AfD presented itself, or the AfD members here that I could talk to tonight presented itself clearly as a opposition party that is gonna rebel against the established party in parliament. I mean, we've seen many faces of the AfD tonight. Alexander Gauland, one of the leading candidates, said we are gonna hunt down Angela Merkel. We have seen another face from another leading candidate, Alice Weidel, who said we are gonna be a constructive opposition, and the party leader, Jörg Meuthen, trying to establish his party as a serious opposition party in the so-called elephant round that we just saw also on DW. So very many faces, and the big question moving forward is what kind of opposition party is the AfD going to be? We know that they are on the far right, that they are nationalists. They've been campaigning on that platform, ethno-pluralist as well, with slogans such as New Germans, we are going to create them ourselves, or Islam does not belong to Germany, and we know that they are most certainly shaking up the political landscape once they are in parliament.
Yeah, major disruptors, that is for sure. Let me pull in Fanny Fichar now at Alexanderplatz.
And we also have Charlotte Potts and Fanny Fichar out and about for us, both of them covering the AfD. Charlotte Potts is at the AfD party headquarters. Fanny Fichar is on the streets near Alexanderplatz, where hundreds of demonstrators and police are gathering. Charlotte, let's start with you. The AfD entering parliament for national parliament for the very first time. What's the feeling there?
Well, the AfD sees itself as a clear winner of this election. On the one hand, because even the most optimistic members had only counted on an election result around 11-12%, and it looks like right now the end result will be a little higher than that. But on the other hand, they are also seeing themselves as a winner because they are attributing the fact that Angela Merkel's conservatives had to take that badly of a loss. They are attributing the fact to their party, to their anti-Merkel, anti-migrant campaign that they think was very successful in mobilizing voters in this election. So the mood here is quite happy. The leading candidate of the AfD, Alexander Gauland, has been trying to fire up his supporters, saying we are going to take Germany back, and he has been saying they are going to pose quite a radical opposition, trying to hunt down Angela Merkel. On the other hand, we've seen also other faces of the AfD tonight, more moderate, saying they want to be a constructive opposition. So really the big question here tonight was, what kind of opposition do they want to be? More radical, more moderate, more constructive? How are they going to be in parliament? But the matter of fact is they ran on a very nationalist, far-right platform with slogans such as "New Germans, we are going to make them ourselves," and "Islam doesn't belong to Germany." And this is the AfD that is making it into parliament, and this is probably how they are going to present themselves as an opposition there.
All right, that's the feeling inside the party headquarters. Charlotte Potts, thank you. Fanny Fachar is outside that building on the streets where people are demonstrating. Fanny, what's going on?